especially mental health key issues, we do not acknowledge them. We do not take action. We don't take the help we need. And it's not in any way any different from having a broken leg or malaria or some medication for your body. Your mental health is reflected in your body. Every thought you have is embodied in every cell of your body. So keeping your mental health in shape means being aware. अपने में ही आप देखिए pandemic में कई बार होता था, you felt so lonely. You felt, you know, I'm in good health, अब मेरी सब कुछ ठीक है, खाने पीने को सब कुछ है, but अकेलेपन में, loneliness में, you feel कि भाई, you know, things are not as good, and then you begin to feel like you want to cry a little, or you get depressed. Depression is a very real issue. And the thing we have to remember is we have to be aware of it. भाई साहब कहाँ है भाई presentation?
Yes, आपने कहा नहीं
इतनी देर लग रही है, मैं तो time waste कर रही हूँ बीच में.
ओह, अच्छा ठीक है.
हाँ जी, शुरू कर. हाँ, that's better. So this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And the reason I chose this topic was to make you aware that mental health जो है वो आपकी अपनी responsibility है. जैसे कि आपकी body की health की responsibility आपकी है. And how do you keep mentally healthy? You have to learn to manage your mind. ये जो thoughts आते हैं depression के, या you question it, ये जो feelings आती हैं, सारी feelings जो हैं reality में based नहीं है, या objective नहीं है. आपकी daughter-in-law ने कह दिया कि आप क्यों इस तरह से ड्रेस करते हो, डोंट फॉरगेट वो अपने रेफरेंस पॉइंट से बोल रही है. आपको इसके ऊपर रिस्पॉन्ड करने की जरूरत नहीं है, ना ही स्ट्रेस के साथ, ना एक्सप्लेनेशन के साथ. नेक्स्ट प्लीज. So what is the definition of mental health? The World Health Organization, it says it's a state of well-being, not health, well-being. You can be disabled and still feel well. In fact, my best patients were examples of rheumatoid arthritis, completely deformed. And I'll never forget this lady who had the best attitude in her life. And she managed her family, everything so well, in spite of being relegated to a wheelchair. So it's a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his own or her own abilities, not disabilities, and can cope with the normal stresses of life. हर एक की life में stress है जी. There is nobody where there is no stress. In fact, stress ना हो तो आपका brain dead हो जाएगा, because you won't be able to solve problems. अगर deadline ना हो, motivation नहीं होती कुछ करने. To work productively and fruitfully, and to contribute to his or her community. That's a very important aspect, because जब आप किसी और के लिए कुछ कर रहे हैं, तब आपका ध्यान ना अपने ऊपर है, ना अपनी disability पे है, ना अपने दर्दों पे है. So even if it's as simple as अपने family member को एक compliment देना, gratitude feel करना कि my God, एक और दिन हमें मिल गया है to experience life, to learn something, to give something back. वो बहुत जरूरी है जी, ये attitude of gratitude. Next, please. So what is the scope of the problem? आपको पता है यहाँ पे opioid addiction से इतनी deaths हो रही हैं. It's really a big issue of mental health. ये सारे homeless लोग जो आप सैन फ्रांसिस्को में देख रहे हैं, आधे से ज्यादा belong in a rehab center or a psychiatric facility. मुझे अभी तक याद है, मेरी क्लिनिक के सामने एक बड़ा अच्छा psychiatric hospital होता था. Unfortunately, closed down कर दिया Mr. Reagan के ज़माने में. Whatever the reasons they were into, they ended up putting half of these people in prisons. And then to get the prison population down, they were left back on the street. Nobody is looking after the mental health of these people. Half these people don't belong on the street. They don't belong in the prison. They belong in treatment. So just to give you an idea of the scope of the problem, 3,000 people, 17% of those sampled were flourishing. So मैं आपके साथ एक बड़ा interesting graph share करूंगी जहां mental health is not black or white. आप एक बिल्कुल mentally healthy है या बिल्कुल sick है, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता. We're all on a continuum, on a graph. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum, right? Either they're flourishing, excelling, or thriving. 17%, bada chota level. 37% aap, hum, sab, mentally healthy, thriving, some symptoms of unsettled, and 12% languishing, struggling, or in crisis. 14% had a condition jahan ki it's an actual schizophrenia or a bipolar disorder. But 2/3 jo the usme se they were coping well with just a little medication and some social support. So even if you have a diagnosed condition, but diagnosed tab hoga jab aap acknowledge karenge ki problem hai. So Indian diaspora ki sabse badi issue yahi hai कि कोई आगे बढ़ के ट्रीटमेंट लेने को तैयार नहीं है या शेयर करने को तैयार नहीं है कि there is a mental health problem. Next, please. So what was the effect of the pandemic? In fact, इन्होंने study की है CDC ने, 31% of respondents, and I can assure you, हमारे में से भी, there are many of us who experienced anxiety. इतनी खबरें आ रही थी, हर 2 दिन के बाद मक्खियों की तरह लोग मर रहे हैं दुनिया. Depression, 13% started using substance abuse, alcoholic बन गए. हम खुद, instead of having a glass of wine every weekend, we were having a glass of wine every other day. घर पे बैठे हैं, it sounds like innocuous. 26% reported stress-related symptoms, which are palpitation, anorexia, either eating too much or eating too little. 11% had serious thoughts of suicide. And the sad part is a lot of them were teenagers and adolescents. School में नहीं जा सकते, घर पे बैठे हुए हैं, इसी screen के आसपास, and it feeds into that paranoia कि, they can't cope with life. They don't even have social skills anymore. एक सामने से बात करने की आदत ही नहीं है, सब screen से हो रहा है. So it's a virtual reality. And these numbers are nearly double the rates we would have expected before the epidemic. And risk factors for reporting, so it also was कि lunch programs बंद हो गए, जो बच्चों को lunch school में मिलता है, वो नहीं provide हो रहा था because school जा नहीं रहे हैं. Financial concerns, वही families जिनको aid मिल रहा है, वो काम पे नहीं जा सकते. I mean, until the government came in and gave some help, this was a pretty stress-producing incident. I've never seen it in my 45 years of living in the States, जो इतना serious pandemic हो कि इतनी isolation की जरूरत पड़े. Next, please. I don't know if you can see this, but I really like this model, Jay. So, of course, in crisis, so, and आपके handout में है ये जी, you are very anxious, very low mood, आप काम पे नहीं कर सकते, आप exhausted feel करते हैं, very poor sleep. Sleep is a very big factor. Weight loss. If you're struggling, you're anxious, depressed, tired, poor performance, कुछ कर नहीं पाते, हाथ से सामान गिर रहा, sleep नहीं है. But most of us are on this side of the graph. Surviving, आप बीच में है, worried है, nervous है, लेकिन manage कर रहे हैं. You're able to handle your normal. Thriving, and that's where we would all like to be, on the green side. You're productive, you're calm. And one of the side effects of the pandemic is कि meditation की classes, दूसरी classes Zoom पे आ रही थी. So it was coming right to you. And that became a great opportunity for families to sit with their children, look at their classwork, engage with each other. So these were some of the good side effects. So situation वही है जो एक बंदा react करता है with so much stress that they become in the struggling or in crisis mode, और दूसरा उसको handle करता है by looking at the positive side of things. Chaliye, let's make dinner together. Let's learn some cooking. Itne cooking shows aana shuru ho gaye. And then, of course, excelling is when all systems are go and you feel on top of the world and you're joyful, energetic, high performance, fully enjoying life. So, हमारी कोशिश यही है कि हम सब light green या dark green के level पे रहे. Next, please. So what are the 4 chemicals? We call them the happy chemicals. And I like this because उन्होंने आपको चाबी दे दी है कि आप किस तरह से इन 4 chemicals को stimulate कर सकते हैं. So मैं यही देखती हूँ जब ज़ेबा जी अपना प्रोग्राम करती हैं, she's actually getting a dopamine rush. You know, she's completing a task. She's motivated to finish a goal. You know, there's a project oriented, or Mr. Agarwal is doing a program, or Bajaj. These are all dopamine highs. That's very important to remember. But dopamine agar zyada ho, in fact, drug addicts ki yehi issue hoti hai कि they become so high in dopamine कि आपका brain फिर produce नहीं करता because आप chemically उसको induce कर रहे हैं. And that itself causes cortisol and other issues with it. So too much of that is excessive, but dopamine is one of the ones, that's one of our happy chemicals. दूसरा है oxytocin. So oxytocin को love hormone कहते हैं, but I would call it the nurturing hormone. It's what you produce जब एक माँ अपने बच्चे को hold करती है, जब breastfeed करती है, जब आप अपने partner का हाथ पकड़ते हैं, जब आप baby के साथ खेलते हैं. These are all oxytocin producing chemicals. So they require touch. And that's one thing loneliness creates is you miss the touch. So if you don't have anybody to touch, do it to yourself. Touch yourself. Tai Chi mein wo hame sikhate hain to work with the whole body. So keep that. It's important. Massage karwaiye, whatever it takes. Give your friend a hug. Of course, pets are known to be such a great producer of oxytocin, especially dogs, because they give you unconditional love. Serotonin. Ab aadhe se zyada adults and kids in this country are on Prozac. It's an antidepressant. Instead of giving them the tools to deal with this sort of anxiety, wo unko drug de dete. And what does that produce? It produces serotonin. But you can produce it yourself. In fact, मैं आपको एक very interesting कहानी सुनाऊं. जब ये Beatles पहुंचे, ये जो गुरु थे उनके पास, and they were working at Harvard with the idea of LSD and how drugs change your brain. And this Guruji said, he said, जो आप drugs से कर रहे हैं, मैं आपको अपनी internal meditation techniques से सिखाऊंगा how to get that same chemical in your brain. And that's what meditation does. That's what running does, exercise, walking. ये सारी चीजें जो हैं serotonin produce करते हैं. And I have to share my own experience. आजकल Zoom के कारण विपासना की meditation हर रोज 7 से 8 आती है. And it has been such a boon for me because it gives you time. So commit to sit. ये ना सोचें कि मैंने भजन कर लिया तो मैंने meditate कर लिया. Even आप कुछ ना करें, just sit down quietly. 15 मिनट के लिए, 20 मिनट के लिए. It just allows your mind to come down to a natural calm state. And once you do that, all your decisions are better. All your reactions are better. You're much more productive. You prepare yourself back to enjoy life. And then last but not least, endorphin release. So ये जो laughter yoga है, हंसना मना है, you know, watching comedy, dark chocolate, ये सारी चीजें endorphins produce करती हैं. In fact, इसकी एक बड़ी interesting कहानी है. एक famous actor थे, Mr. Norman Cousins. उनको diagnose किया गया that he has this terrible, you know, sort of progressive muscular disorder. And he said, they said, sorry, हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. He says, ठीक है, मैं अपने आप को खुद treat करूँगा. I'm going to watch all the funny Laurel and Hardy movies and do visualization. He changed his diet. In fact, Dean Ornish, एक famous director है UCSF में, and उन्होंने ये program किया Medicare patients के साथ. आधे patients को surgery दी गई, आधे patients ने अपनी diet, exercise, and community love support के साथ किया. And they found that this group that had made the lifestyle change did not need surgery anymore. Their artery had actually revascularized. So aapke haath mein hai to manage your mind and to bring these 4 chemicals back to play so that you can feel the joy in your life. Next, please.
I don't
Next,
know.
please.
I don't know why it is not coming.
Thank you.
It has stuck.
तो मैं अपनी वाली निकालूं जी? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This,
all right.
yes.
So this is it. This is it, ji. Very good. So what do all of these chemicals do, ji? Dopamine, as I said, कुछ नया, exciting, कोई नया project है. आप सोच रहे हैं कि मैं नया गाना क्या गाना, आप excited हो जाते. That produces dopamine, ji. Oxytocin, जब आपकी grandchild आती है, grandma मुझे बताओ आप पराठा कैसे बना रहे हो, या हमारा छोटा grandson उसको बड़ा शौक है पराठा बनाने का, तो आके हमारे साथ कर रहा है. That's the oxytocin there. Serotonin, जब आप self esteem feel कर रहे हैं, inner satisfaction, confidence, sense of purpose, कि मैं कुछ किसी के लिए कर नहीं हूँ, या जो मेरी self image है मैं उसको पूरा कर. And of course endorphins, जब exercise करके आते हैं, walking करके आते हैं, this is called the bliss hormone, and that releases, and it makes you much more focused and precise in the way you work. Next, please. So it's called dose, and that's why if you want a dose of happiness, please make sure all 4 chemicals are working. Next, please. नहीं जी, पिछले वाला. The previous one, please. Yes. So of course, हमने body, mind, सब नहीं जी. Spirituality, please. आप वापस चले गए जी. भाई साहब, that's it, right
Okay.
there. So spirituality is not just religion. You can feel spiritual. Trust being in nature. मैं आपको बताऊं, आज सुबह हमारी deck पे एक बड़ा सा owl बैठा हुआ, और उसी समय सुनीता जी ने मम्मी से prayer करवाई, और वो तब तक बैठा रहा जब तक मम्मी ने prayer की. So हम सब उसको देख रहे हैं, and we are feeling the sense of spirituality, because we can't explain what this phenomena is, or at least our brain feels there has to be a reason. Chahe reason now, but it gives you a sense of wonder, a sense of mystery, and I think that's really the spiritual experience, and it connects you to the world. More you feel कि हम यहाँ भेजे गए हैं किसी कारण के लिए. Less solitary you feel, even आप अकेले हो, लगता हाँ जी कोई हमारे ऊपर नजर रख रहा है, and ये बड़ा inner peace create करता है जी. और मेरे हिसाब से सबसे बढ़िया जो हम कहते हैं कि surrender, release, control, कई चीजें हैं जो literally random है. एक बंदे के साथ बढ़िया हो जाता है, दूसरे बंदा गिर जाता है, या कोई घटना हो जाती है उनकी लाइफ में. आप दोनों एक तरह से एक ही फैमिली से आए हैं, but it allows you to release control. कि जब आप फील करते हैं कि मैं एक बड़े चीज का हिस्सा हूं, मैं एक छोटा सा अंश, एक बड़े चीज का, एक greater whole, part of a greater community, it makes you feel a little less anxious and less responsible for everything that happens in life. हम often blame करते हैं अगर बच्चों ने कुछ ठीक नहीं किया, या किसी की शादी नहीं हो रही, या कुछ हो रहा है, वो sort of लगता है कि why me, हमारे ऊपर क्यों इतना burden पड़ रहा. But the fact is कि there isn't a good answer for these things, और जिस चीज का answer नहीं है, rather than thinking कि हमने कुछ किया है, कि ओ कर्मों का फल, oh my God, ये किया होता, वो किया होता तो ये हो जाता, वो बर्डन आप किसी और के हाथ में रख देते हैं. जब आप कहते हैं कि आप हमारे सहारा हो, हमारे पालनहार हो, whatever. It's a mental mechanism. It's a release control. So spirituality is really important. Thinking sometimes that you are part of a whole. In fact, space में जब गए नील आर्मस्ट्रॉन्ग तो वही कह रहे थे कि हम तो एक छोटा सा ब्लू मार्बल की तरह प्लैनेट है और हम अपने आप को पता नहीं खुदा के बंदे समझते हैं. Next, please. So spirituality, managing your mind, but what brings you happiness? So I liked this one. It said कि अगर आप happiness के पीछे भागते हैं तो हमेशा आपको elude करता है because आप एक preconceived notion में है कि this is what happiness is. And of course, life never gives you what your thinking is. In fact, that's what Buddha was talking about, right? कि जब dissonance होती है तब दुख होता है, whether it's aging, illness, death, etc. So a better idea is to find some meaning in life. कि मेरा perception क्या है मेरी life का, मैं यहाँ क्यों आया हूँ, मेरा purpose क्या है? This is the question we've all been asking, right? तभी तो हमने कहा था monks को कि आप कुछ ना करें, आप सिर्फ हमें बताएं हमारा meaning क्या है life का. हम how to तो समझ जाते हैं कि कैसे जीना चाहिए, but why नहीं समझ पाते. And that's a good way to look at life, is to find meaning. और वो meaning चाहे आपको मिलता है कि आप अपने ग्रैंडसन को स्कूल से ले आए, या आप किसी को कुछ पढ़ाएं, या किसी के साथ खाना शेयर करें, किसी से प्यार से बात करके उनका दिन बेहतर करें, whatever. ग्रोसरी क्लर्क से आप मिलते हैं. आज मैं लाइन में थी तो एक लेडी उसको बता रही थी अपनी सारी मेडिकल हिस्ट्री. मैंने कहा भाई कमाल है, आप तो साइकाइट्रिस्ट की तरह हो गए, इस औरत ने सब कुछ बता दिया कि मेरा ये टेस्ट हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है. मैं 20 साल से यहाँ काम कर रहा हूँ और लोग सब आके बात ऐसे करते हैं बिकॉज उनको पता है कि मैं anonymous आदमी, and they can share with me. I thought, what a wonderful, that's his purpose in life, is being able to be an ear, to be a sounding board. What a wonderful position. चाहे आप grocery clerk हो, चाहे आप कुछ भी कर रहे हो, you can serve. They also serve who only stand and wait. So look at the bigger picture. Second pillar बहुत जरूरी है जी, transcendence. अपने आप को अपनी situation से बाहर कीजिए. So आपकी mother-in-law आपको तंग कर रही है, या daughter-in-law, या husband हमेशा कहता है तुम तो मेरी माँ की तरह खाना ही नहीं बना सकती, मेरी भाभी जी ये कर. आपको ध्यान देना चाहिए कि आप उनकी प्लेस नहीं ले सकते. वो उनकी दिमाग के ख्याल है. जो आपकी सिचुएशन है वो कभी चेंज नहीं होगी उस परसेप्शन से. सो रादर देन से कि ओ आपको पसंद नहीं आता, यू से आई परफेक्टली एग्री, हमें भी उन्हीं से सीखना चाहिए था. इट्स अ बेटर वे, ट्रांसेंड. इट अलाउज यू टू गेट सम पर्सपेक्टिव. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप अपने को विटनेस करें, अपने आप ऊपर से देखें. What does it matter in the big scheme of events? अगर किसी ने आपको compliment दिया, या whether it's pleasure or pain. In fact, one of the best things of Vipassana has been the sensation itself of pain or pleasure is exactly the same. It's an electrical current. It arrives, it arises, and then it dissipates. It's impermanent. आप अपने घुटने पे ध्यान दें, अगर दर्द है आप देखेंगे कि दर्द की क्वालिटी चेंज हो जाती है या दर्द की प्लेस चेंज हो जाती है. Nothing is permanent. So having a feeling of transcendence really helps you feel happier about what you have. And third is relationship. Surround yourself with love. वही चीज honey से करें या vinegar से, choice आपकी. The greatest experience of love comes from your actions rather than your feelings. When you act with love towards people, the feelings will naturally result over time. आपको हम बताएं, हमारी community में काफी young लोग आ गए हैं. So I know they're busy working. कल, just by the way, we had made some curry chawal or whatever. मैंने इस young couple को कहा कि आप आके ले जाओ खाना. She was so delighted. choti si cheez, but it made someone feel happy. And the amount of love and respect that generates is hundredfold versus the simple act that you're doing. Next, please. And I also feel we forget to play. वो कहते हैं कि I'm old, I'm aging, and therefore I don't play. I feel it's the opposite, that you age because you stop playing. And play is so important. Play जरूरी नहीं है कि गेंद ही खेलनी है या कुछ इस तरह से करना है. So आजकल हम मम्मी को Connect 4 खिलाते हैं इनकी caretaker के साथ. And you should see the competition. I think it's a wonderful therapy, Ji. And playing improves your balance, coordination. It's so fun. हमारा grandson आता है, basketball खेलता है, table tennis खेलता है. It keeps you active. It releases endorphins, promotes confidence कि हम भी कर सकते हैं. It's fun. So, हमारा जो tennis का group है, हमारी इतनी अच्छी bonding है कि हम एक दूसरे के काम आते हैं. It's really, play is really therapeutic too. And it improves relaxation, allows you to sleep better. It allows you to share. अगर आपको कोई तकलीफ है कि कोई और किस तरह से manage कर रहा है, उनका डॉक्टर क्या कह रहा है. It relieves stress. Next, please. So, किसी ने पूछा था about Alzheimer's, dementia. MCI is mild cognitive decline. And many of us are seeing that in our own partners. We are seeing it around us, the mild cognitive decline. And it starts with memory lapses, memory loss. But memory loss that disrupts your daily life, that borders on dementia, Alzheimer's, and that requires testing. I've seen अपने ही दोस्तों के circle में, a wonderful friend of ours, वो छोटी सी चीज भी decision नहीं ले पाते और हर एक चीज वो खुद decide करते थे एक ज़माने. Judgment, decision making difficulties, challenges in planning. कुछ trip plan करनी है, इसमें planning चाहिए ना, हम कब निकलेंगे, क्या करेंगे, solving problems, trouble with familiar tasks, confusion with time or place. This is very significant for Alzheimer's. Sometimes they don't even realize कि मेरा घर इधर, रास्ता भूल जाते हैं. It's a very big issue. Behavior, mood changes, personality changes. अगर आप ये चीजें देख रहे हैं, so then please, सबसे पहले, get all the labs done. Get a cognitive test. But also get a brain scan done. Alzheimer's का significant है कि आपको एक amyloid protein का plaque दिखता है जो brain में. And the earlier it's detected, the better the treatment. You can start treatment earlier. अब Parkinson's में problem होती है जी, dopamine कम हो जाता है. So वो L-dopa देते हैं, उससे बड़ा फर्क पड़ता है. So people can have a good, productive life if it's caught early, but awareness is important. Next, please. So I keep saying, be alert, be aware, be proactive. Diagnostic workup, including brain imaging, labs. कई बार chemical imbalance की issue हो जाती है. हमारे local gentleman है 95 years old, उनको dehydration हो गया था, which is a very common problem at this age. Because आप absorb नहीं कर सकते. Confused हो गए. They were afraid कि hospitalize करना पड़ेगा. But once his labs came, पता लगा कि it's just an imbalance of electrolytes. He's back home. Memory tests, cognitive tests, ये सारे Alzheimer's, dementia के लिए. And of course, a physical exam. These things are important. So if you're aware, फिर आप proactively इसका ध्यान रख सकते हैं. Next, please. I especially put this picture. जब आप ये picture देखते हैं, what do you feel? I feel oxytocin. एक छोटी सी बच्ची अपनी grandma के साथ क्या कर रही है? She's playing. She's play acting. And I could just imagine the grandma getting serotonin, all the chemicals you need to be happy. And the same with this child. And I especially put this picture because मैं अब आपको एक questionnaire देने वाली. Next, please. So happiness is preventive medicine. Emotions in the mind manifest in the body. वो जो headache आता है बिना किसी कारण, body aches, uneasiness, pain. Look for causes beyond the lab test. In fact, there's a whole spectrum of chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, which does have a lot of component in the mental aspect of issues, not just the body. Loneliness, lack of social support, meaningful, loving relationships. तो आप इकट्ठे रह के भी lonely feel कर सकते हैं. अपनी family के साथ रह के भी lonely feel कर सकते हैं. So having a little meaningful interaction, और जरूरी नहीं कि family के साथ ही हो, friends हैं, Zoom पे है, किसी को call कीजिए. ये सब support systems हैं आपके लिए. अपनी अंदर वाली pilot light on करके आप खुद realize कर सकते हैं कि root cause क्या है आपकी illness का. हम सब इस stage पर आ गए हैं. We've lived in this body, in this mind for 60, 65, 70, 80 years. We know our bodies better than any doctor, better than any practitioner. So ये सारी चीजें करने के बावजूद अगर कुछ नहीं पता लग रहा, आप अपनी inner pilot light से पूछें कि क्या कारण है, and why do you need the illness? कई बार illness is a bid for attention, कि ये बीमारी होगी तो मुझे attention मिलेगा, मुझे care मिलेगी. वही चीजें अगर आप किसी और सलीके से मिले तो फिर आपको उस disease की जरूरत नहीं रहेगी. Power upon hope. Find nurturing doctors, healers. Join a group to express your creative side. You know, Halloween के लिए dress up करें, कुछ writing करें, painting करें, कुछ knitting करें, जो भी आपको creative expression है. हजारों सालों से लोग caves पे drawing करते हैं. This is their creative side. Baskets बनाते हैं. So that's a real need we have to be happy. Next, please. So this is a self-diagnostic exercise. जी, अगर आपके पास पेंसिल है तो आप प्लीज लिख लीजिए या इसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लीजिए अपने फोन के साथ. बाद में आप सोच सकते हैं इनके बारे में. और इसलिए मैंने आपको वो पिक्चर दिखाई थी because I want you in the best frame of mind. What is your belief system? क्या वो beliefs मेरे जीन से आई हैं? Because आप सिर्फ अपनी बॉडी, अपना आंख का रंग, नाक, हेयर नहीं इनहेरिट करते. आप अपने मीनोम्स इनहेरिट करते हैं. इनफैक्ट एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग आर्टिकल पढ़ा था मैंने. वो हम कहते हैं ना, भाई मेरा भाई भी डायबिटिक है और मैं भी डायबिटिक हूँ. एक्चुअली आपने क्या इनहेरिट किया है? अपने खाने की आदत, कल्चर ऑफ की जब भी कुछ बढ़िया हो तो मिठाई ही खाना है. That connotes happiness. So those cultural habits are being followed through. Not कि भाई आपको कोई predisposition है genetically for it. It's a lifestyle. आपकी health, आपकी illness में आपके अपने विश्वास, अपने belief system contribute करते हैं. इससे मुझे मिल क्या रहा है? Maybe attention. Maybe I'm really lonely, and this is one way my son will call me. This is one way कोई मुझे touch करे. This is one way that I can get some attention. Support. How seen and heard do I feel about my healthcare providers? So कई बार आप जाते हैं, डॉक्टर को टेस्ट पे कुछ नहीं लगा, वो कहते हैं, oh, this is hysteria. You know, it's all in your mind. But the mind is part of your body. Am I sabotaging my own health? क्या मैं अपनी health को खुद बिगाड़ रही हूँ? Am I being truthful with myself, not with anybody else? With myself. जब आप कहते हैं कि मैंने weight lose करना है, और फिर आप जाके फ्रिज के सामने खड़े होके सोच रहे हैं कि मैं अपनी emotional need को food से कैसे satisfy करूं? Because आपको पता है 4-4:15 बजे जब थोड़ा सा ग्लूकोज ड्रॉप होता है, दिल करता है एक पीस ऑफ केक तो हो ही जाए, राइट? या रात को 10 बजे जब भूख लगती है तब ये नहीं सोचते कि कैरेट्स या योगर्ट खाए जाए. उस समय दिल करता है कि एक बर्फी का पीस हो तो मजा आ जाए, राइट? So these are emotional triggers that are making us do these activities. And थोड़ा बहुत कोई problem नहीं है जी. I always say use the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time if you're eating well, 20% it doesn't matter जी. Indulge करिए. Relationships. Are there repetitive patterns with husband, family, in-laws? आप देखेंगे कि झगड़े, arguments उसी बात पे होते हैं. Triggers भी वही हैं. But ये ना भूलें कि trigger maybe दूसरे आदमी की development और background से आ रहा है. Do I need to forgive and be forgiven? Am I holding a grudge? एक बार उन्होंने हमें नहीं बुलाया तो हमने वापस ही नहीं जाना. जिंदगी गुजर गई और आप अभी तक grudge लेके बैठे. Life is too short for that. And आप खुद अपनी chemicals को destroy करते हैं. आपको पता है कि जब आप गुस्सा खाते हैं almost 4 घंटे लगते हैं उन chemicals को settle होने. Not worth it, really not worth it. उससे तो बेहतर जाके walk कर लीजिए. Find something, avoid the trigger. Don't keep fighting. And as I said, 2 या 3 चीजें हैं जो वही, it's either money, sex, politics, 3 things that bother people. And life of purpose. Am I living my life, my dharma, with my God-given talents and gifts? So, we see how lovely it is when, when Geeta ji gets up and sings a song, we feel so good कि देखिए वो talent वो use कर रही है और हमें ये gift दे रही है अपनी आवाज का, अपनी talent का, या शकुंतला जी अपनी poetry share कर रही है. So these are your gifts for the world. Share them. Don't keep them to yourself. Creativity. What is it? जो जिसमें मैं अपने आप को भूल जाती. In fact, there was a wonderful study. They said to be happy, there are 4 things. One, of course, minimum financial chahiye. Or America mein about 70 to 100,000 in most places, not California, is enough for roti kapda makan. After that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't create any more happiness. Second thing, you must have an activity where you can lose yourself. जब आपको अपने को आप भूल जाते हैं, टाइम का ख्याल ही नहीं आता जब आप उस एक्टिविटी में करते हैं. तीसरा, आपको अपनी लाइफ पे थोड़ा बहुत कंट्रोल चाहिए. बट इस स्टेज पे आके मैं फील करती हूँ कि आपको कंट्रोल की जरूरत भी ना महसूस हो. इस स्टेज पे अपने आप को ना, कि अगर आप डिपेंडेंट हैं कोई बात नहीं, इतना भी कंट्रोल पे कंट्रोल ना रखें. लेट गो. कंट्रोल को ही कंट्रोल ना करें. Let go the need for control, but a little bit of control of your life. That's important. And doing something creatively expressive. Those are the 4 things that make people happy. Dressing up. अगर आपका दिल कर रहा है क्लियोपैट्रा बनने का, किसी को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. If anything, it's fun. कोई special dish बना रहे हैं, flowers arrange कर रहे हैं. आज का pandemic में I make sure कि हम हमेशा एक candle light करते हैं dinner के साथ. It's just a nice way to get out of the doldrums of the day. And spirituality. I really feel there are many ways to feel spiritually connected. I mean, merely walking is a wonderful source, being with nature, and even just sitting quietly. Ram Naam karna, jo bhi aapka tradition hai, jo aap comfortable hai. एक भजन बोल रहे करते, reading a Vedic scripture. मेरी desk पे Upanishad किताब है. It's in English, of course. And it's such a great commentary, Eknath Eswaram ki, where he brings in the similar ideas from different traditions. And I really like that जब वो similarities बताते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे जो human दिमाग है, वो एक ही तरह से organized है जी. हम सब ने यही सोचा है कि हमारे से ऊपर कोई फोर्स है. ये सारे कल्चर्स ने यही सोचा है. हमने यही सोचा है कि धर्म जो है वो एक तरह से जो मॉरल 10 कमांडमेंट्स है वो ऑल अक्रॉस रिलीजन्स है. ऑनेस्टी, ट्रूथफुलनेस, नॉट कवेटिंग द अदर पर्सन्स वाइफ, नो स्टीलिंग, नो थीवरी. ये सब कॉमनैलिटीज हैं because we share the same networks. So we've come up very much with similar ideas. They are archetypes. And sexuality is important. I'm so sad to see कि India में हालांकि हमने कामा सूत्र और खाजुराहो किए हैं, but हम घबराते हैं sexuality के बारे में बात करते. And it's perfectly all right to express it. And sexuality doesn't mean कि partner है. You can satisfy yourself. उसमें कोई हर्ज नहीं. क्या मैं relax feel कर सकती हूँ अपने needs के साथ and ask for it. It has to be appropriate. You can't be flirting around with everybody's husbands, but that's the way it is. Mental, physical health, acceptance. How much can I accept my imperfection? अगर मेरी रीढ़ की हड्डी सीधी नहीं है तो नहीं है. What can I do? It's okay. give myself permission to love and heal myself. आप सुबह उठे, I remember Veena ji के एक बार उन्होंने कहा था, मैं सुबह उठ के कहती हूँ, I'm the most beautiful person in the world. After all, who's created me? I'm created in the image of God. Well, who could be more beautiful than that? And so please acknowledge yourself, be creative, find ways to help others, have a positive outlook on life. And आज अभी इसी समय आप delete button दबाइए for all the dialogue that goes on between family members. उसने ये कहा, उसने ये कहा, छोड़ दीजिए, delete कर दीजिए, जरूरत नहीं है इन चीजों की. अपने mind को simple रखिए, सहज रखिए. I don't know अगर आपने दलाई लामा को कभी देखा है, but he's like a child. It is so fun to hear him talk. It comes out of a place of love and self-expression. And that's all I have. And आपके handout में एक questionnaire है. आप जब भी डॉक्टर के पास जाएंगे, आजकल ये questionnaire देते हैं आपको. So please look at it. And this is an exercise for yourself. And there is no one right or wrong way. We're all here in this journey together to learn from each other. But all I say is mental health is as much your responsibility as physical health. So keep an eye on it and don't let your feelings take over. Examine the feeling. Why am I feeling like that? And if you cannot tell that, ask, is the feeling useful to me or to someone else? If it creates a bad effect, if it spoils my relation, I'm going to discard that feeling. I'm going to be in charge of my mind, not vice versa. That's all. Thank you so much. Have a great Diwali. And here's the self. Haji, last wala 1 minute. Yogi ji?
Again.
Last screen.
Your last slide, please. Anyway, those are just a few things. It's mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. It's as simple as that. So with that, I will finish the presentation. And good time to share.
Asha ji, आप तो गुरुजी हो, गुरुजी. Your talk was so spiritual also. I mean, I felt like I'm in a meditation here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
And Asha ji, it
Yes.
seems like we keep listening to you. It really feels like that.
So,
Don't
thank
stop.
you.
वैसे ही आशा जी ने दिमाग को सही रास्ते पे ले आया है.
आज जो हमारी जो आपने जो ये मेंटल एक्सरसाइज कराई, जो भी आपने जो आज I will say प्रवचन. She gave excellent pravachan, really. I mean, we all deeply have to think what Asha ji said today, really. Really.
Really,
And, you know, when she was talking about meditation, Maharishi Meher Yogi, he started the transcendental meditation here. And that's the way Beatles start doing that thing.
Yes.
और ये वाकई एक शराब ऐसी है मेडिटेशन की, जो पी ले, उसका नशा आने के बाद 1 घंटे तक आप झूमते रहते हो, बिल्कुल like a drunk person. Asha ji knows all that very well. She has done very, very deep meditation. So you know, Asha ji, तो मुझे तो आज ऐसा लग रहा है मैं नशे में हूँ. क्या करूं?
मुझको यारो
मुझे तो यारो माफ करना, मैं नशे में हूँ. बात सुन के मुझे नशा आ गया.
डॉक्टर आशा, मैं गीता जी बोल रही हूँ. 1 मिनट के लिए. तो देखिए, हमने तो गॉड को देखा नहीं है, लेकिन हम सब डॉक्टर में ही ईश्वर को देखते हैं. आज हम, मैं सच बताती हूँ, दिस इज नेक्स्ट टू गॉड. आई एम टेलिंग यू, नेक्स्ट टू गॉड, बिकॉज एवरी टाइम आई फील, whenever we see all this presentation and all, we feel that the heart